everybody. Mike Adams, the Health Ranger here, and we are talking about Big Pharma's agenda. It's a global agenda to not just take your money and make sure that you die broke, but also to see that not as many of you survive as you should because of this eugenics agenda. We're going to talk about that. Big Pharma, the biotech industry, and why they are stealing away your life, taking away your health, and shoving bioengineered food down your throat at the same time. Also here, we're going to be talking about vaccines and the vaccine agenda. Why are they pushing so hard to get you to take vaccines when the science shows that vaccines don't really work as well as they claim they do? These are some of the issues we're going to be covering right here. And let's start with Big Pharma. Now, the pharmaceutical industry, we know, makes money off of sickness and disease. If you're not suffering from a degenerative health condition, then they're not making money. So it's in their interest to make sure that you stay sick. But they don't exactly want to kill you because then they'd lose a customer. So what they really want to do is put you in a situation where you're not quite dead, but not quite healthy and alive. You're somewhere in between. You're in this degenerative disease zone where they can extract all the money that you've worked so hard to earn for your entire life. Think about it. You work your whole life making money, saving money, working 60 hours a week, perhaps trying to get by. And then in the last few years of your life, they can steal that money away from you by enslaving you in a system of medicine that's designed not to heal you, but to keep you sick and take your money at the same time. That's the way Big Pharma really works. We've talked about the agenda of keeping you sick and taking your money, but now they're taking it to new highs or new extremes because they're starting younger. They want your baby to be injected with vaccines as soon as it's born. They want to extract money from your children, from your teens, from you and your family members as adults and also as senior citizens. There's not a day in your life that goes by that the drug companies don't see an opportunity to make money off of your suffering. They're going to program you with definitions of disease that aren't real. They're going to say that, oh, you suffer from anxiety disorder. Are you nervous giving a speech in public? Must be something wrong with you. Must be something wrong with your brain chemistry. You need a drug for that. Or does your child like to learn in an unnatural way, they might say? He doesn't want to sit still. Instead, he likes to play outside. Or he likes to do 3 or 4 different things at once, a multitasking kid. Something wrong with that kid's brain. That's what they want you to believe. And they want you to medicate that child with psychiatric drugs. So by drugging your child, these companies are able to create a lifetime customer from which they can extract more profits through their teen years, adult working years, and retirement years. If you followed some of the things that we've talked about before, you know that there are natural remedies that work better than pharmaceuticals in almost every case. They're better, they're safer, they're more effective, and they cost less. They're readily available. So why aren't those being touted as the solutions for these degenerative health conditions that are affecting so many people in our society today? Well, the answer is because you can't patent natural remedies. You cannot patent green tea or pomegranate seeds or walnuts, which lower cholesterol. You can't patent superfoods because they're created by nature, not scientists working in a lab somewhere. So there's no profit incentive. The toxic chemicals in the food supply, those will kill you too, especially if they combine with the synthetic chemicals that are in the pharmaceuticals. Now you think about this. The average American is out there getting injected with vaccines. They're buying processed food with chemical adulterations, chemical contaminants that are put in by the food companies. They're out there taking these over-the-counter medicines that are extremely dangerous, loaded with toxic chemicals. They're using toxic personal care products. You know, the deodorants, the antibacterial soaps that are made with a type of nerve agent poison. The shampoos, the colognes and fragrances, the dryer sheets, the laundry detergents, all of these chemicals, they add up. It just combines all these chemicals to create a highly toxic environment for your body. Your liver becomes so toxic, it's like a toxic waste dump. And once your liver is damaged, they know that you're going to develop all of these additional diseases, neurological conditions, dementia and Alzheimer's disease. They know that your cholesterol is going to be imbalanced. They know that your kidneys aren't going to function correctly. Your heart won't function correctly. Your reproductive organs won't work the way that they're supposed to work, the way you were designed to work. Now, in other issues, we've got a whole history of medical experimentation that you may not know about. In fact, throughout American history, the drug companies, the government, and the U.S. military has used the population, innocent people, in medical experiments. They've done that time and time again without telling people. In fact, they would deceive people. They would tell you things like, oh, we're taking blood samples to monitor your health, or we're injecting you with a vaccine to protect you. And they wouldn't tell you that they're actually injecting you with some kind of disease. Our government has lied to us on so many occasions, in so many situations where people have suffered and died, that you'd have to be insane to trust the government today when it talks to you about health. When they say, well, take vaccines today, take H1N1 swine flu, get injected, get your children injected, because by getting injected, you won't miss days at work, they say. You'll be well, you won't have sick days. Well, what they don't tell you is that these are lies. They're not really telling you the truth. They are throwing these vaccines on you like you were a human dartboard, and they're hoping something sticks in you, and they're hoping that you're enough of a sucker to just go along with this while they keep pumping you full of chemicals. And you notice how you can't just do it once? They say you got to come back every year, have another vaccine, here, another needle, another chemical, another new disease, another disorder. That's right. Pretty soon you're taking 12, 15 pharmaceuticals, you're being injected, you're being irradiated. They poisoned you. They irradiated you. They injected you with unproven chemicals. You were the experiment. Your children and your family members, they are being treated like human guinea pigs. And they're watching what happens to see the results of their experiment. In this experiment, they're also asking, well, how much money can we make from this? From promoting a pandemic, these companies can make billions of dollars. They didn't tell you that it wasn't tested. They didn't tell you that there have been no randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies on these seasonal vaccines, and there never will be. Well, that's insane. How do you know it works? How do you know it's safe? How do you know it doesn't cause side effects? Well, they don't know. They're ignoring the evidence. They're using you as human guinea pigs, and they're hoping that you just don't notice. Let's talk about the global population agenda. Now, we did an article about Bill Gates, and in a recent TED speech, Bill Gates talked about vaccines as a way to reduce the global population by 10 to 15%. That's right. He said if we did a good job on vaccines and on healthcare and reproductive services, we could reduce the global population by 10 to 15% and thereby reduce CO2 emissions. He's got a formula for it. It's right here. The formula is CO2 equals people times services times energy per service times CO2 emitted per energy unit. This is the formula for CO2. Bill Gates said himself that to get this formula down to near zero, you need to get one of the variables close to zero. It's basic algebra, right? And it seems like they're going to work on the population variable of this formula, the P variable, P meaning people like you and me. How would you really go about reducing the population through vaccines if vaccines are promoted as something that can actually protect your health and save lives? Well, there are really only about 3 ways that you could do this. Number one, the vaccines would have to kill you outright, which they don't. I mean, they don't kill you overnight. You don't get vaccinated today and drop dead tomorrow. The second way is you could have a slow kill effect where the vaccines cause degenerative health conditions that kill you over time. And that's probably one of the mechanisms they're using because they can extract so much money from you during that time that the side effects of the vaccine are starting to emerge. And as you get diagnosed and as you get told to take more pharmaceuticals and have more surgeries, they're taking money from you the whole time. There's a third way, which is to alter the reproductive ability of the population. In other words, if they can use vaccines to take away your fertility, then they can reduce the population over time. If you're an expectant mother or you know someone who is an expectant mother who's watching this, let them know that they need to avoid vaccines or they may risk the life of their baby. And if they get vaccinated and lose their baby, they may have inadvertently killed their baby by agreeing to be injected with these dangerous vaccine chemicals. So it's a very dangerous way to go, but it's effective for those who are trying to control the world population. Remember, if you can reduce fertility by about 50%, then of course you can reduce the growth of the next generation by about half. So that's one long-term way to reduce the world population and fulfill this formula that he has for bringing down global emissions. If you inject the population today, and most people go along with it as they do, with a vaccine that weakens the immune system, it actually compromises the immune system and leaves you more vulnerable to future infections, then they have a system by which a future widespread virus in the wild, either an engineered virus or something that just comes out of the wild because of some of the crazy factory farming techniques that are being used around the world, that virus could become a global killer, a global pandemic that strikes at who? You and me? No way, because you and I are taking care of our health. Who's it going to strike? It's going to strike those people who got vaccinated, because they're the ones with the weakest immune systems. An immune system needs practice. It has to be exposed to the natural world so that it can strengthen itself, just like strengthening your muscles or strengthening your brain by reading and engaging in thought exercises. Well, your immune system needs some exercise too. And it gets exercise by being exposed to viruses in the wild and then building up an immune response. It actually builds a database response so that it can track down invading microorganisms in your body for the rest of your life. And it can identify that this is a virus from, 1992 or 2010 or wherever it's from, and it can attack that virus instantly so you have immunity. This is the way they say vaccines are supposed to work. They say that they will give you an adaptive immunity because your immune system has to respond to the vaccine to build the antibodies, right? That's how they say it works. Except what they don't tell you is that the vaccine is a weakened virus. So your immune system doesn't really have to respond in a powerful, a strong, and fully functional type of way. It's a weakened response, so you have a weakened immune system, so you are more vulnerable to future infections because your immune system begins to atrophy. And then one day, when a powerful virus comes along, either engineered or in the wild, and when you need that immune system to survive, to protect your life, to save your life from something that's attacking you in the wild, then it's not there. If you eat their foods, their GMO foods, if you eat their processed foods and you take their over-the-counter medications, if you take their vaccines and undergo their surgical procedures, most of which are entirely unnecessary, and when all is said and done, at the end of the day, you will remove yourself from the gene pool, you will reduce the world population, and they're more than happy to help you do that. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be alive, healthy, and happy. So don't believe what the authorities are telling you. Don't believe what the food companies are telling you. And certainly don't believe what the vaccine companies and the drug industry is trying to get you to do. Trust in yourself. Trust in your body, your innate ability to heal yourself, and be a skeptical thinker. Trust information sources that you know are speaking out on your behalf rather than talking in favor of the pharmaceutical industry and the food companies and governments that don't have your best interests at heart. Remember this, they say that pharmaceutical marketing is really an exercise in convincing you to make decisions that are against your own long-term interests. The same could be said about the food industry, convincing you to buy and consume food that will actually harm you. It's not in your best interest to do that. And especially if you're feeding a family, you don't want to do that to your kids. Some of what is sold out there today in the food industry is, in my opinion, a form of nutritional child abuse. And parents need to wake up and start feeding their kids healthy food if they want to have healthy kids in the future. So listen to this information, learn, empower yourself, and be skeptical of what the governments and the pharmaceutical industries and the food industries are trying to tell you. And you will save your own life in the process. Thanks for watching. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Take care.